Hello YouTube, it's Tony. So today I'll be showing you a Spiritual Warrior's Guide for your personal Slayer dungeon. So this requires 99 Slayer to use, and it's basically located in the Sunken Pyramid. You can get there by using your Manifest Modified tablet, then right-click Travel from the Portmaster Kegs. After that, you can just enter your dungeon. Otherwise, you can teleport there using your Slayer Codex, if you have 50 plus souls added. It took me about an hour of Saradomin encampment in order to get the 5 souls. I do have a separate guide on this, and I'll leave that link in the description. There's an FC that shares player-owned dungeons, and that is PODS_FC. Now I'll leave that thread link in the description. Alright, so here's my equipment setup. So I'm using a mage equipment setup. You can otherwise use range. I don't suggest you use melee, because sometimes the Armadillo Spiritual Warriors will spawn. So I have a Noxious Staff, and the perks I suggest are Caraming 3 and Aftershock 3. The Caraming perk really does help if you want to attract the targets nearby. Unfortunately, I don't have Spirit Gizmos for these, so I didn't actually end up using them in this video. Otherwise, you can just use a tier 75 staff, and that works just fine. So I have a Subjugation Body, and the perks I use are Impatient 3 and Biting 2. Then I have the Subjugation Boots and Gloves, but otherwise you can use Silverhawks if you want Agility XP. So I also have the Ghost Hunter Legs, Helmet, and Cape. You only need 3 items for the set effect. Basically, it does 10% more damage, as well as 10% more XP against ghosts, which also includes Spiritual Warriors. The Salve Amulet Enchanted will give you 20% more damage and accuracy versus Spiritual Warriors. Otherwise, you can just use a Demon Horn Necklace with a Toon Ectoplasmator, and that works just fine. That is if you want unlimited prayer though. So the ring I'm using is Surgeon's Ring. After that, I'm using an Uncharged Godbook, but otherwise you can just use a Berserk Essence. I don't actually have that in this case. The aura I'm using is Vampirism, but otherwise you can just use Penance Aura if you want to save prayer potions. Then finally, I have the Elf City Quiver, and that is basically for prayer bonus. Alright, so here's my inventory setup. I have aggression potions. Although they're normally aggressive, but by using this, you don't need to run in and out of the dungeon to renew your aggression. Since I do have a piece of Zamorak equipment, the spawns are random, so they will not always be aggressive. So I have Holy Overloads, and then I have replenishment prayer potions, and so you want to bring a few of these. Now the magic notepaper is going to be really helpful here, because you're going to be noting the unstackable drops. Then I have Spring Cleaner, and I'm going to set it to destroy rune items. Now the large rune pouch is going to be used to store the Alk runes, as well as the air runes for air surge. The next thing I have is Gem Bag, and they do drop gems sometimes. Now I actually forgot to bring it in this video. So then I have a Max Cape, and that is going to be my main bank teleport. I mean, you can use a Ring of Kinship if you don't have that. So there are 2 optional switches you can bring, and that is Ring of Vigor and Planted Feet Sunspear. So the Planted Feet switch will increase the duration of Sunshine by 7 seconds. For those who are using Aftershock, make sure you have Aftershock perk on it, cause otherwise it'll reset. So I have the Enhanced Excalibur, and that is for extra healing. Then finally I have a Legendary Pet, and that basically loots drops for me sometimes. Otherwise you can just use a Demon Brawler Familiar, but I mean the scrolls are fairly expensive. You can also bring in a Toon Ectoplasmator, and that gives you prayer XP, as well as triggering Demon Horn Necklace. The reason I didn't bring it is because Ghostly Essence is fairly rare and expensive. So here are the prayers. I'm just using Torment, but I mean you can also use Soul Split as well. You don't really need it anyways, because they don't hit as hard as Spiritual Mages. Alright, so here's my action bar. Just follow the basic abilities for my Revolution rotation. For the thresholds it doesn't really matter, but I mean you can use Detonate if you want extra AoE. The only ultimate I'm using is Sunshine, although you can use Tsunami if you want extra AoE as well. Alright, so here's a strategy. Just stand in the middle underneath the light, and you just use AoE abilities, or you can just manually tag them. I mean, they usually should be able to vacuum towards you. Just prioritize the Sunshine basically. So yeah, you're just gonna also area loot the drops, and don't forget if you want Alk items, just drag it and drop it to your money pouch. Alright, so here are the drops. They mostly drop noted ores as well as alkables. The super attack, strength, and defense potions are fairly common, so don't forget to use magic notepaper on it. You also want to use magic notepaper on the Addy 2H, since they're pretty easy to sell, as well as selling higher than Alk price actually. Now the ghostly essences you can also get as well occasionally. If you want to disassemble the War Priest pieces you get, just turn off auto retaliate, then drag it and drop it to your invention pouch and hold down the Y key. So in this hour, I was able to make 6.5 mil, and I got 3 mil worth of alkables. I also consumed 271 magic notepapers. So honestly I would say it's around 5.5 mil to 6 mil profit per hour, if you were to factor in the costs. So in conclusion, I got 690k magic XP in 1 hour. If you were to factor out the Ghost Hunter set effect, you would get 621k magic XP per hour. That's equivalent to 950 kills per hour and 69k per XP per hour if you're using a Toon Ectoplasmator. So honestly, it's much more relaxing than spiritual mages, as well as giving you more kills per hour, which can be really helpful if you're using scavenging perk. It's also less risk of dying as well, and it's really more AFK basically. Now I also have 1 hour footage of me killing spiritual warriors, and I'll leave that link in the description. So yeah, thanks for watching and I hope it helps. If I missed anything, feel free to ask.